Hello and welcome to Gardening with Ben. In today's episode we are going to be talking about what my plans are for the allotment. Each day I'm covering a different topic set by a challenge in our allotment Instagram to cover a different topic every single day. I'm going to be doing this on my podcast channels and also on YouTube as well as videos. So make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Gardening with Ben, and you'll be able to see these in video as well, and we may be talking about different bits. So make sure you click on YouTube and find Gardening with Ben. And if you're listening on the podcast channel, please subscribe to it, and then you'll get notified when new podcasts are uploaded. These are going to be on a daily basis through February, fingers crossed. I get time to record them all. And also, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, make sure you leave a review as well, as it helps it get out to more people and more listeners as well. So thank you very much. So as I said, today's topic is about what are my plans for the allotment this year. So we're going to start right at the front of my plot and work the way back, and fingers crossed we'll tell you everything what I'm thinking of doing. So at the front of my plot I've got a flower border that has got loads of spring bulbs in it, so they'll hopefully come up in the springtime and last until possibly May time, so we'll see how they get on. I've added a few more this year. We had a spectacular display in that flower bed at the beginning of the year last year, and fingers crossed it's going to look even better this year. In the summertime we had some geraniums in there and some marigolds and some other different flowers which I can't remember the names of, but we're going to hopefully find some more flowers which will fill that space, possibly flowers that spread a bit like petunias, lobelias, stuff like that, and fingers crossed we can make it look more attractive than ever. Next up is my shed greenhouse. Obviously I've talked about that at the moment. My plans are to get it all back into ship-shape condition. I've got a few plastic panels what have cracked and broke, and I'm also insulating it as well with polytunnel plastic to add that extra layer in it, just to keep it that little bit warmer, as it's an unheated greenhouse, as I don't really want to leave a heater on my allotment so that anyone can pinch it, so it's unheated. I'm going to spruce it up, give it a lick of paint, add some more shelving in there, and fingers crossed we can grow a lot more in there. And I may actually grow my cucumbers in there this year rather than my melons, and put my melons in my polytunnel where it is a lot hotter to hopefully have a better crop. Next up we move on to my plum tree area. I've got a plum tree and I have some blueberry bushes which I started for the first time last year. The blueberry bushes, they did really well. Obviously the first year, so we only got a few blueberries on them. They're planted into plant pots sunk into the ground, as you have to plant them in herbaceous soil. So if you put them in a plant pot, you can put the soil straight into it rather than plant it in the ground. And then I've dug it in so it's level with the ground, so it does actually look that like they are in the ground, and I can easily lift them out if I need to do anything with them. The plum tree will be getting pruned in the springtime, as you're not meant to prune them until when it's a bit warmer and when they actually start growing again, not in their dormant season. So we've got that to do. And then we move on to my other fruit area, where most of my fruit is, my raspberry plant and my cooking apple tree and eating apple tree and pear tree and my rhubarb patch. I'm going to be giving my rhubarb some food in the coming weeks, as that's started to grow now, which you'll have seen a picture on Instagram if you've followed me on there. So that's doing well. My trees on there have all been pruned. I pruned them in November, December time, as that's when you can prune them ones. So they're all ready for starting to grow. I've pruned back all my raspberry plants. My autumn raspberry plants, you can prune them back to the ground. The summer fruiting ones, you only prune back the ones which had raspberries on this year. The new growth is what will grow the raspberries on this year. So all that's pretty much ready for the growing season. Now my polytunnel, I did a few repairs on that last year. I had to put some polytunnel tape on it where I got a split in it, but my polytunnel cover's been on it for about 7-8 years, possibly longer. Every year I'm surprised that it's lasted another year longer, Every year I keep thinking I'm going to have to replace that, but it has lasted so long, it has done so well. If you're looking at buying a polytunnel, invest in a proper polytunnel. Don't go for these cheap £100 ones. I know they're not cheap, but they are the cheaper variety, as the metal will bend, the plastic cover what comes on it will only last a year or a year and a half. You can't dig them into the ground properly like a proper polytunnel. A proper polytunnel can cost them anywhere between £300 to £500, possibly more, but it is a well worth investment, and it's done me so much work, and I've had fantastic crops of tomatoes and cucumbers in there. So that's literally still standing. I might need to put some more heat tape on the metal, as some of that has disintegrated, because it's only like polystyrene type stuff to stop the plastic from touching the metal. So we've got that to do. Then down the other side of my plot, I've built 3 new beds, which has got my garlic in. That has started popping through in the last few weeks, which I'm really pleased about that. I was giving up hope on that. I weren't able to get garlic cloves from the garden centre, so I had to go for the shop bought variety, which I know it's not brilliant because it's possibly been sprayed and stuff to keep it living longer in the shops. So I wasn't too sure if it'd grow, but it has sprouted, so fingers crossed it's fine. And we've got all the picket fencing down the side of the plot now. That all needs painting, but I won't be able to do that until the wood dries out and it's a lot cooler, a lot warmer, should I say, not cooler. So we've got all the wood to paint on that, which is going to be a big job. Then in my main plot area, I need to re-put all the beds back in, as they are all dug out at the moment, as I like to dig over the whole plot at once in the winter and then re-put all the beds back in, re-screw them in, repaint them all, re-put all the paths back down because they get uneven, the paths, from walking on them all the time. So I like to level it all out and just dig it all over and get any weeds and roots out what are lying under the paths so that they don't go into the beds and stuff like that. And I do suffer from bindweed on the plot, so I need to get as much out as possible when I can, and I can't really do that a lot of the times when the plants are growing in the summertime, so it's a good time to get it all out of the beds. So after that area, we've got our flower beds down the side of the allotment, and they were added late last year. They weren't added at the beginning of the year, so they only had sunflowers in this year and some dahlias and calendula in them, so we're going to be adding lots more flowers this year to them beds. I'm looking at growing plenty of different varieties of sunflowers, different colours, different shades, different heights, different varieties, and that is the plan for down the sides of them plots this year. So fingers crossed we'll be sharing lots of photos of different coloured sunflowers on my plot. They don't only look attractive, but they'll attract the bees and the insects what need pollination for the vegetables and for the fruit on the plot. So that's my plan on that, fingers crossed. Then at the top of my plot, I'm building a herb patch, which I'm going to use recycled water pots to plant my herbs in, as I don't want to plant the herbs directly into the ground as they will spread everywhere. I want to keep them contained in different containers, sunk into the ground and looking attractive in the ground. So that's the plan for that area. And I've also built my new rockery, which has got lots of bulbs in it. So obviously I need to look at flowers, what will take over after the bulbs are finished in that area. And then the top of my plot, I've got my composting bin as well, which I'm going to use and make plenty of compost, fingers crossed, for the years ahead. So that is basically my plans for 2021 down on the allotment. Let me know what your plans are. Send me a message, let me know that you've listened to it, and like I said, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, leave a review, as it helps get the word out there about my gardening platform, and it's always good to see what people think of it. So click that subscribe button to stay up to date. Like I said, these episodes are going to come on a daily basis through February, so make sure you listen to them and have a brew while you're listening to them, or on the way to work while you're driving on your radio. So thanks for listening, everybody. Until next time, remember, keep gardening.